Welcome, God of War fans! My name is Shayne Static, and this is the top 10 bosses we want in the new God of War. Be sure to leave a like if you did enjoy your time here, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of my future content. Here we go. So is it just me, or was the last God of War seriously missing out on a lot of boss fights? Personally, I do think so. So in this video, I'm going to go over some really cool boss ideas that may very well be in the next God of War. And this list is that of my own creation and listed in the order that I would like to see them. So if you personally have a different list in mind, leave it in the comments down below because I would really like to know what you all have in mind. So, let's get right into it. In at the number 10 spot, we have Geary and Freya. Yeah, we are starting off this list with a pair of legendary wolves from Norse mythology that I actually never knew existed. Geary and Freya are, like said before, are two giant wolves that are the companions of the All-Father Odin and are actually credited for being the parents of all modern wolves in the world. But did you know that Odin had Geary and Freya before he had Hugin and Munin, his two ravens? Yeah, that's right, it was a complete surprise to me too. During Odin's early years, he wandered the world alone, but created Geary and Freya for company. So can you imagine facing off against two giant wolves in the new God of War? I think these two wolves could very well be fierce opponents and might be even hard for Atreus to take on because of his affinity for animals, which could play a factor in the fight. Now, something I was also thinking about. Remember the temple that was near Kratos and Atreus' house? The two wolves outside of it? Could those be Geary and Freya? Or Skull and Hati? It's all up for interpretation. What do you think? Coming in the 9th spot on this list is Vali. Vali is the son of Odin and the giantess Rindr in Norse mythology, and one of the survivors of Ragnarok. So all of you know what this means. He is the brother to Thor and Balder. There is not a lot known about Vali, except for he played a role in the revenge of Balder's death by killing the god Hodder, who killed Balder in mythology. And he also fastened Loki to a rock with the entrails of his own son. So skipping over that last part, Vali could very well be in the hunt for Kratos and Atreus for killing Balder in God of War. And I think it could be a very heated battle with Vali out for revenge for his brother. It could very well be a good fight. And since there is not a lot of information about Vali, Sony Santa Monica could have free range of making an amazing character. In at the number 8 spot, we have Heimdall. Now, Heimdall is the watchman of the gods. Heimdall watches over the Rainbow Bridge into Asgard, ready for the giants to storm Asgard at all times. He can see past the horizon, hear grass growing in the meadows, and even requires less sleep than a bird. Which I'm assuming isn't that much. Okay, this guy puts Spider-Man's senses to shame. He also carries around Gjallarhorn, which can be heard throughout all of the realms to signify the giant's arrival to the Rainbow Bridge in the beginning of the Twilight of the Gods, Ragnarok, in which he and Loki, who are sworn enemies, will take each other's lives. Now, Heimdall seems like a complete badass and could be a huge obstacle to overcome. With his senses being as amazing as they are, maybe the fight will be split up into parts by taking out each sense one at a time. Okay, that was a little dark, but hey, it's God of War, and Kratos was never known to be, well, an extremely nice guy. So, how do you like my background right here? Pretty cool, right? Well, check it out. This is the Explorer series from VALERA screens, and I pretty much use it for every single one of my videos. It's light, super easy to assemble, super easy to use. I just joined VALERA Screens affiliate program, so you can always check it out by clicking the link down below or going to streamvalera.com. If you're looking to get into creating content on YouTube or any other platform, or just into games just like me, check out this one. Now, back to the video. Coming in at the number 7 spot on this list, we have Vedrfolnir. And I apologize right now for all of the awful pronunciations coming in this video. Vetterfaulkner is a falcon that perches between the eyes of a giant eagle that sits at the very top of Yggdrasil, the world tree. Now, do you remember the little guy Ratatoskr in God of War? You know, one of the magic abilities from Atreus that gets kind of pissy when you send him out to get health stones or whatever is around?
Ratatoskr! Every waking hour, you two!
Well, Ratatoskr is actually in Norse mythology and runs up and down Yggdrasil between Vedrfolnir at the top and Nidhogg, the serpent that lives around the roots of the tree, saying the other is insulting the other. Now, wouldn't you like to fight a giant eagle in the new God of War, or whatever Cory Barlog is going to call it? Imagine taking down the eagle in mid-flight. Kind of like how we beat up Baldur on the back of a dragon, but this time, we're taking down a giant flying monster. Sounds pretty epic to me. In at the number 6 spot, we have Freyr. Freyr is a member of the tribe of Vanir gods and an honorary member of the Aesir. And wouldn't you know it, he is the brother of Freya. Freyr is one of the most beloved gods in the Norse and Germanic religion and known to sometimes reside in Alfheim, the land of the elves, which he seems to be their protector and or ruler. Freyr also holds one of the most devastating and destructive weapons in all of Norse mythology, a sword that can fight enemies on its own. Now there is a weapon I would like to get my hands on. Maybe in the future, if we are all lucky. But doesn't a fight with Freyr sound challenging? At least part of it, I can see his sword fighting us by itself. Maybe Freyr off to the side taking a nap or something? Okay, just kidding. Probably Freyr coming at you from all angles with his sword keeping us busy. At the number 5 spot and halfway into my list is Njord. Njord is also a part of the Vanir tribe and also an honorary member of the Aesir. Njord is mostly known to be god of the sea, wind, seafarers, and the coast. Also, Njord has a couple of children that made quite a reputation for themselves, being Freya and Freyr. Now, why do I have Njord so high on this list? He wasn't, at least to my knowledge, even mentioned in God of War. Well, to be honest, I have always had an affinity for sea and ocean gods. And do any of you remember the fight we had against Poseidon in God of War 3? Yeah, it was completely epic, and I think Sony Santa Monica could make a battle with Njord just as epic or even better. Coming in at the number 4 spot on this list, we have Fafnir. Yes, that's right, I said Fafnir. Fafnir, if you all remember, was one of the dragons that we released in God of War. Fafnir in mythology killed his father to obtain his extreme amount of wealth that his father obtained from Odin as compensation. But Odin placed a curse on this vast amount of treasure, so when Fafnir took it for his own, he was turned into a dragon. And later on in his life, he was killed by the hero Sigurd, or as other regions have called him, Siegfried. Now why is Fafnir on my list? We released him, so shouldn't he be gone? Well, Cory Barlog, during an interview, stated that it might not have been a good idea to release the dragons. So this tells me that they very well might make a comeback, and the most famous dragon that I know from the dragons that we released was Fafnir. And I am itching to fight against him, especially after the fight against the last dragon in God of War, which I'm not going to even try to pronounce her name, because I will completely butcher it. Now, coming in at the 3rd spot on this list is Odin, the Allfather. Now, tell me, how many of us want to get our hands on Odin in the next God of War? I would say a good amount. And I am amongst all of you as well. Odin has put his wrath on the realms, especially towards the giants, which I always found funny because many of his children came from mothers who were giants. Nevertheless, he has put a target on every living giant in all the realms so he could potentially stop his own destruction come Ragnarok. But we all know Ragnarok is coming. And an epic battle with Odin during the Twilight of the Gods is going to be a spectacle to remember. Coming up in the number 2 spot on this list is Thor. Thor, the god of thunder, that we've all seen the special scene at the end of God of War where he stands outside Kratos and Atreus' home in Midgard, standing there menacingly with his all-powerful hammer made by Brock and Sindri, Mjolnir. Thor has personally killed the majority of the giants, especially in Midgard, and none are safe from his wrath or his fury. Now, I cannot wait for a battle with the Thunder God and potentially getting my hands on this mighty hammer. But if Thor, one of the most anticipated boss fights that is eventually going to come, is not on the top of my list, who is? Well, here we go. In at the number 1 spot is Freya. Yeah, that's right. I said Freya. Now, why did I make Freya the number 1 spot over Thor? Well, I think Freya would make the absolute best boss fight of them all. At the end of God of War, Mimir tells us Freya visited him while Kratos and Atreus was in Jotunheim. She told him that she was after her warrior spirit so she could fight once again. And if you defeated the Valkyrie queen Sigrun in God of War, you would know that the true and only leader of the Valkyries is the goddess Freya. Now, fighting Sigrun almost broke me completely because she was extremely hard in my opinion. But she was only filling in for Freya in her absence. So, if Freya is the true Valkyrie queen over Sigrun, she must be an extremely great warrior and in my opinion could give us one of the best boss fights of the entire series. So, what do you think of my list? Do you agree, or do you think that I am way off? Or do you have a list of your own? Tell me in the comments down below, and let's discuss it. And also, if you want to support me further, you can join my Patreon to help me make creating content a full-time thing and get you all videos faster and in higher quality. You can find the link in the description right down below. My name is Shayne Static. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.